What is going on, everybody, and welcome to a somewhat rare in season bag of recruiting chips. As always, I'm Jeremy the Couch Potato. Opposite side of the screen, we got Coach Slate, and it has been an insane week as far as just busyness on the recruiting front. So we wanted to open up a bag of chips and let you guys kind of get some info. Um, get your spatulas out. It's flip season. Um, and we hinted at this a couple weeks ago that we had heard the Buckeyes were going to be very, very active. Couple of guys who got senior season offers. We've talked about how important that is, and you see it especially as a coach. Um, we'll start with the Ohio boy. Landry Brede was committed to North Carolina State, becomes offensive lineman number 5 for the Buckeyes. Um, Technically, he's the lowest rated recruit in the Buckeyes class now. He's the 93rd ranked offensive tackle, 6'5", 280. You hear us say it a lot. Watch the tape.
Yep.
This dude is physical as can be.
Yeah.
One thing, I watched his full tape the other day, which, by the way, might be the coolest huddle film I've ever watched. They have a drone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's awesome. But I do feel like one thing I noticed, I feel like he short arms a lot of blocks.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think Landry is a very good player. Coach Bowen was in contact with him immediately after getting hired by Ohio State. Landry Brede is a dog. He's got a mean streak. He's nasty. He's a very good athlete. Comes from a very good program in the state of Ohio. You know, I say it all the time, man, give me all the Ohio kids in this class, man. I will take them, especially in the trenches. We heard Luke Montgomery talking about it the other week when he was getting interviewed about how this offensive line, with the Midwest guys, the Ohio guys, how they, really are just blue collar kids, man, and they just really take pride in that. The more guys you can have that are like that, the better. And those stars don't matter when it comes to that. It's all about the development of those guys. And I think Landry Brede is a kid who's going to come in and is going to be bought into what we are doing at Ohio State. And it's not simply because he was an Ohio kid, but I think that just plays into it. He's going to want it just that much more. And so on top of his talent, I just think being from the state of Ohio is such a huge piece to all of this. And so I'm excited about this kid to get our 5th offensive lineman. I think, he is an offensive tackle, but I do think he's a kid that can bump inside and play guard as well. He is a mauler. Like you said, he does short arm some things, but I do think once he gets his hands on you, it's over. And so he will drive you through the ground. And so this is a kid that I know Coach Bowen is excited about. And I know it wasn't an easy decision for him to be able to flip from North Carolina State to Ohio State, because North Carolina State was a school that showed him love from the very beginning. And so I always feel for these kids who, have to make a tough decision. And I know people will say, well, it's Ohio State, right? You're going to pick Ohio State over North Carolina State. I get that. But I also understand the loyalty aspect of it too. You want to be loyal to the school that showed you love from the very beginning. And Ohio State got in on him a little late. But nonetheless, he chose to be a Buckeye, man. So I'm pumped up, man. I think Landry's a baller.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like Jake Cook vibes, you know, as far as earned that offer. This is a kid who his senior season in camp earned him this offer.
Yep.
So flip number 2 of the week, a guy we talked about, and I think this is a bigger get than a lot of people realize, because again, you see that this kid's ranked 914th overall.
Yeah.
That's going to change for one. But this one is also watch the tape, but also watch who was recruiting him.
Yeah.
St. Francis Academy out of Maryland, safety Khmari Bing. That team's stacked for one.
Yes.
But he had officials scheduled. He was committed to Maryland, but had officials set with Ohio State, Indiana, and Alabama. Who would have ever thought we would be mentioning Indiana in the same breath as Ohio State and Alabama as, an offer that kids want?
Yeah.
Decommitted, from Maryland right after his Ohio State visit. We knew things were picking up, that he was going to end up somewhere else. True center field safety, I feel like.
Yep.
But you could also see him become a nickel.
Yeah.
With his size. But what really jumps out to you, and I don't think this is just a kid blowing smoke, is he said multiple teams have told him they consider him the best free safety in America in this class.
Listen, he is rangy, and that is what you want in a free safety.
Yes.
He can cover ground.
Yes.
And that is what you want. And so if they're saying it, I believe it, man. I think this kid, when you talk about a true free safety, you want a kid that can cover as much ground as possible. And so this kid can do that. He can play a true post safety, where the team's playing cover one and he can just be over top of everything. He can be rolled down in the box for run support. He's a very willing tackler.
Yes.
He's got some speed to him. He can play in man coverage. He can just do so many different things. But his best trait is the ground that he can cover, as a free safety. And so that is one of the things that really stands out to me. Very similar to a guy we recruited a couple years ago, in Leroy Roker. He was a guy who was a true free safety as well, that could just cover so much ground. I don't think the stars matter, like you said. I think he's going to blow up here soon because of his offer list and where he was going to be taking visits. But the one thing that stands out also with this kid is where he plays at. St. Francis Academy is one of the top programs in the country who produces nothing but Division I talent. Right. And so there was a documentary on this place not too long ago where Blake Corum went there. And I remember watching it. Blake Corum moved from wherever he was to attend this school. And so, this is a fantastic program, and to get a kid from here is major. This is a big deal for the Buckeyes, and this kid can ball, man. You know how I am about defensive backs. This kid is a true free safety, can cover a lot of ground. He's going to run downhill and hit you. He's got good ball skills, and so this is a good get, man. This is a good guy to get into our secondary.
Yeah, and one thing, worth watching, I don't think anything will come of it. He did make a comment, because these guys always get asked when they commit, who are you going to try to bring with you? Who are you going to recruit to Ohio State? So he just happens to be teammates with, depending on where you look, the number 1 or number 2 player in America, edge rusher Zion Ely, who is committed to Maryland. Does it open a door? Who knows? But the big picture effect is there are a bunch of 27 kids on that team as well that it will be worth monitoring. Definitely a big get. Obviously you missed out on Braylon Womack, who chose to go to a dumpster fire of a program, who did get hosed Saturday night against Georgia. Kirby had the refs on payroll in that one. Just a weird game.
Yeah, it was.
So before we dive into, there's a whole plethora of dudes that news dropped on this week. Obviously, anytime a program loses a coach, things happen. The raid is on. Slate's favorite coach, Big Game James, is now No Game James.
Yeah.
Penn State, at the nudging or urging of Adidas, it sounds like, pulled the trigger and showed James Franklin the door. So immediately you saw multiple decommitments, 26, 27. The first one that kind of came out is a 27 kid. We'll dive into that because there's 3 27 kids that were committed to Penn State that have all decommitted. and the Buckeyes may end up being involved. 26 running back Messiah Mickens is a 5'10", 190-pound running back from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Has already said he will be taking an official to Ohio State. Sounds like the UCLA game maybe, but there was also people saying it's going to be for the Penn State game, which would be hilarious. As far as the 27 kids, well, another 26 kid. Does Ohio State revisit Elijah Littlejohn?
Yeah, there's so many people that they could go after. Man, it's a weird situation right now.
27. Penn State had the number one running back in the 27 class, Khmari Spell, committed. Who he will be visiting Ohio State for the fall. Wide receiver Khalil Taylor is another 27, and offensive tackle Leighton Von Brandt. Those are all 27 kids that have been linked to Ohio State before they committed to Penn State, and now. And then obviously, real quick, it's not recruiting related, but Drew Ayler goes down with season-ending injury.
Yeah.
Just kind of the cherry on top, I guess, of disaster that this season has become for that program. But next man up is a guy that you know, Ethan Grunkmeyer.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what Penn State does. I was really, really, really hoping they named Jim Knowles the interim because Ryan Day would be chomping at the bit.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Back to the recruiting stuff, though. A couple guys we've talked about. Danny Odom, Nebraska commit, cornerback, is rumored to be visiting for the Penn State game. I know this is a kid you love.
Love Danny Odom, man. Love Danny Odom. A big physical corner, man.
Yeah.
I think Odom is he's probably my favorite corner in this recruiting cycle. We talked about it way back when we did a recruiting chips episode and talked about some guys we wanted in this class. He is definitely one of those guys we want in this class. Just big physical corner. He can do a lot of different things, play some man coverage. If we want to play cover two, he could be up and press cover two. He could just do so many different things. He's a prototype of what Coach Walt is trying to recruit right now at the corner position. And so if we can get him into the fold, I will be a happy fan because he's got all the tools to be the next big time corner in the country, not just at Ohio State, wherever he goes, man. I think Danny Odom's got all the tools to be a very good player wherever he decides to play.
Something to monitor with him, I feel like, is obviously being committed to Nebraska and their coach, Matt Rule, who I'm going to call my shot, and I think he's the next coach at Penn State.
Okay.
I think they are going to throw a bag and try to get Signetti, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
Another corner visiting for the Penn State game, guy we talked about a couple weeks ago, Florida State commit and legacy Jay Timmons. Getting him on campus is huge.
Yeah.
I think Odom, one of two things happens with Odom. If Rule stays in Nebraska, it's either Nebraska or Michigan. If Rule goes to Penn State, then it opens up things. But I could see him following Rule to Penn State. Jay Timmons visiting for the Penn State game. RJ Holland from Pickerington Central will be visiting for the UCLA game. With another bye week, that is a huge thing for some of these kids. That's another chance for the staff to watch film, to observe, to offer. I think he's a kid that could benefit from that.
Yeah.
We've got Dre Quinn, the former Clemson D lineman edge, is now taking an official for the UCLA game. Sounds like that's a Texas-Ohio State battle. Obviously, we've seen Texas is willing to pony up for young D linemen. I was thinking about, we talk about this a lot when we talk recruiting. When we talk about it's an NIL recruitment. We're not blaming these kids for
absolutely not.
taking their money.
Never.
Ohio State is not going to overpay for a freshman
Nope.
unless there are certain circumstances. Jeremiah, um, DGG, the running back in the 27 class, who I think they like more than Keemon Spell, they are not going to get outbid for. Um, just something I've thought about, this week as we get ready to talk recruiting. Amari Miller received a preferred walk-on offer. Um, I didn't realize that we didn't spell that out last week when we talked about PWO offers.
Yeah.
We did not specify preferred walk-on. Little different in today's day and age, but used to it essentially meant we want you, but we don't have a scholarship for you. But when one comes available, if you earn it, you're the first guy up. So he'll be on campus the 22nd. Jacob Curry, the linebacker we talked about, committed to Oklahoma. So that makes Jaden Williams a whole lot more interesting to follow.
Okay.
And with the success that Indiana had this weekend beating Oregon, probably becomes a little tougher pool.
Yeah, man. Gosh, there's a lot, man. There's a lot going on right there that you just mentioned. A lot of Ohio kids that gets me pumped up, man.
Yes.
I think R.J. Holland is a good player coming out of Central Ohio. Very versatile secondary, can play multiple spots in the back end out of Pick Central. But yeah, man, it's crazy to think about the 26 kids and just how important that senior year can be for kids that may have thought they were overlooked. And now they're circling back to them, man. So I really like seeing kids really trust the process and just keep grinding and keep going. And I'm glad you mentioned the bye week, man. That just, it's so important that the kids out there who are getting recruited understand that they're going to have an opportunity to get seen one more time. And get, the phone calls, the texts, whatever it is, whatever the coaches are allowed to do during that bye week time. Because it's this is huge. Like, this time right now is huge when it comes to recruiting, and with all the new rules when it comes to the amount of coaches that you're allowed to have on staff, like, these guys can be in contact now so much more as far as, like, hey, you're in contact with, somebody who's on the recruiting staff, right? So, hey, I'm reaching out on behalf of Coach so-and-so who's been breaking down film all week long, but he wanted to let you know, like, hey, he's thinking about you, but hey, I got, we're locked in right now on Illinois. And so it's just crazy to think about all these different rules, but, senior year is so important. So I'm glad these guys are, circling back to some of these kids, especially in the state of Ohio.
Yeah, and there's another program in Gainesville, Florida, that is probably going to be without a head coach before long. I don't know that there's a lot of guys we circled through there. Maybe the one defensive end, I can't think of his name right now. Wilfong also came out. We talked about, it sounds like it's a foregone conclusion that Aaron Thomas will not be in the Buckeye class. Wilfong did come out and say that he is definitely shopping his services. And it sounds like it might be one of those mutual decisions. Makes you wonder if there is another O lineman Ohio State wants to evaluate one more time and then throw an offer at.
Okay.
Definitely a ton of stuff. Obviously, the Penn State news kind of magnified some of it and sped up some clocks. Spell had kind of said he was wavering before it happened, but obviously, if you're a running back and you watch what Penn State has done to Nick Singleton this year, you have to question going there.
Yeah.
One of the probably greatest collapses of a preseason Natty favorite that we've probably ever seen. I mean, the hype was real, and Oregon broke them, I think.
Yeah, man. It's tough, man. Listen, people can say what they want about James Franklin. I'm just looking up his stuff right now, man. He's won 104 games at Penn State. Like, you can say what you want, big game James, all those things. Like, I get it. He didn't win the big games. I understand. But the bottom line is, the guy came to Penn State after, obviously Bill O'Brien had left and all these things, but the Penn State wasn't a job that was seen as like this super hot
Yeah,
commodity, off of the Paterno thing and Bill O'Brien leaving after a short amount of time. And he did some really good things there.
he did.
He did some really good things. And so this is a job, man, that can be a powerhouse job. Like it really can. So it'll be interesting to see who they go get. Like, do they go after a Signetti, like you said? Do they go after some big name, Matt Rule, or do they go get some young guy, man? A guy that I think is somebody to keep an eye on is Alex Golish, down at USF. He's got so many Ohio ties, Midwest ties, man. I think he's a elite recruiter. Those are the guys that I would keep an eye out, man. And I think if they come into the Big Ten, watch out because they will recruit with some of the best of best of them. So yeah, man, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
And that's what makes me wonder if Florida is going to pull the trigger on Napier because they want Golish.
Yeah,
Obviously they have a guy in mind if they do it mid-season. There's a lot of smoke out there about the Lane train, and if Lane Kiffin goes to Florida, you guys know I love to take jabs at Miami. If Lane Kiffin goes to Florida, Miami's running the state of Florida's over. Florida will win the SEC within 3 years if Lane Kiffin goes there.
I agree. I agree with that.
And possibly even win a Natty in 3 years. Like that would be the most set up Lane Kiffin has ever been. But yeah, quick little bag of recruiting chips. We'll keep you guys in the loop, obviously, because there's going to be a bunch of stuff happening in this next month. But with that, we will see you guys for Before the Battle Badger Hunting Edition. And, make sure to like the channel, subscribe to it, comment, like the socials, hit all the buttons, as the kids say.